Hi, I'm Natalie, one of the trustees at MyOppo. Welcome to another one of our 31 Days of Christmas, where we're trying to build awareness around some of the struggles of living through a festive period while suffering with PTSD. What I'm about to read is a personal insight into how PTSD can interfere with daily tasks. The person who wrote this has also spoken about what he thinks would help him when experiencing a panic attack or stressful moment. People suffering with PTSD see the world differently to everyone else. For example, you may be driving in a 30-mile-an-hour zone and not notice the person in front of you is only doing 26. Because it simply isn't a big deal. Even if you've noticed their slow speed, you are aware that they have a child on board sticker in the rear of their car or that they're an older driver. People suffering with PTSD are more than a couple of steps ahead of everyone else all the time. I explain it as a rubbish superpower. We have noticed the speed, noticed the driver, noticed the sticker, noticed the 30-mile-an-hour zone, arguably should actually be a 40-mile-an-hour zone, weighed up the entire situation, and come to the conclusion there's zero threat apart from one thing, the driver in front. Even if you are a very aware individual without PTSD and have noticed all of the things mentioned, you simply do not react, because it's simply not a big deal in a normal world. Depending on the situation, people with PTSD will notice and stop an outburst in time, which is obviously the best outcome. But an extreme situation will be wanting to inflict serious pain on an individual. It sounds scary and a very sad way to live, but unfortunately this is not an exaggeration. This is one of the reasons people suffering with PTSD choose to stay indoors, avoiding any social event unless it's on their terms, or any normal day-to-day activity that could possibly make this anger a reality. So, if you find yourself in a car with somebody with PTSD, you'll probably notice they insist on driving so that they're in control. It's these little things that they insist on and that if possible you should allow. Remember, they don't think like you. This may not be a big deal to you, but to them it could really mean the difference between a successful day or another bad day. While on the journey, if you find they are no longer talking and are zoned into, for example, the car in front, try and calmly get their attention back by talking about literally anything but the car ahead. Remember, they are more than a few steps ahead of you and have noticed the car and the entire situation before you've noticed there's been a pause in the conversation. This will obviously take a lot of practice to notice a potential problem before the outburst. But for now, at least be aware of it. Be aware there's always a problem waiting to happen for them. Their brains are in self-defense mode, and unlike a normal job, closing time doesn't end at 5 p.m. It's literally 24/7. If you are at least aware that they're looking for problems, you'll learn to notice them sooner and sooner. When you talk to them, and as I said before, try and mention something they like or something that they're looking forward to. I personally find making a base layer of future conversation before you leave the house works well, because they're a few steps ahead of you. If they feel like the conversation is fake or forced within the car, this may also bring out a reaction. What I have learned works is before you leave the house, start talking about their favourite meal or a cheat meal or something that they would naturally be looking forward to. When you notice the prolonged pauses and excessive focus on a situation in the car, simply mention something about that pre-planned conversation. Like, for example, actually, the curry sauce at that place has gone downhill lately, hasn't it? Ending whatever pre-planned statement with a follow-up question for them so they're pulled out of the battle with themselves and whatever situation is causing threat to them and pulled straight back into the car with you. Most of the time, you'll find the short breaks in their focus and being forced to think about anything else is enough to end the problem that they may have with a situation surrounding them. If, for example, you haven't caught the problem in time, under no circumstances retaliate to their outburst. Don't become their enemy in the car, because all that anger will be switched onto you. Remember, they do love you, otherwise you simply wouldn't be allowed to sit next to them, so no pain will be sent your way. But be aware that they are at war with themselves and have been building up a frustration for God knows how long into this drive, and love or not, if you cause a reaction to their anger, you will be getting a verbal retaliation. This isn't because they don't love you or think bad of you. Remember, they are simply feeling threatened, and this is them protecting themselves. It's a cruel illness, but this is why charities are out there helping people like you. These aren't the men and women you sent away, but with a few coping mechanisms you can bring them back slowly. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, so stay safe and look after each other during this festive period.